back to the Upville Squad. Now, one thing that we love to get into each and every single time when we have the show are our conversations with creatives. And today we are joined by a dynamic author right here on the show. Now, she'll be debuting her recent book, or her newest book, and we're going to be able to dive into that. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest for today is Memory H. Chanda. Thank you for joining us in the show
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I hope I didn't overdo it.
That made me feel real cool.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Now let's get right into it. You are an author. You put out amazing work and so on and so forth. But one thing that I need to be able to understand, that I should believe the crowd also wants to be able to understand, is at what point in your life did you discover that you had a thing for writing? Like, oh, I wrote the letter A, B, C, and it actually made sense.
Right. That was when I was still very young, living in the ghetto back in Kasama, and somehow I would find myself writing everything. Like if it happens during my day, be sure that in the evening I'm going to get my notepad and my pen and just start writing. If you did me wrong, George, be sure you're going to find myself there. So, and then my relatives started telling me like, oh, you write a lot. Don't you think you're just going to write another Bible one of these days? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I like writing. So in grade 8, the first composition I was given to write, and I nailed it. The only wrong word was one. And my teacher called me.
The number one.
I don't want to say it because you're going to laugh.
No. I think it's important for us to be able to know.
Okay, so the word meet, right? Like as in meeting someone.
Yeah.
Then I wrote meet, like, I think I was. So then my teacher called me and he was like, is this story real? Did it happen? And I was like, no, it didn't. Then he said, I swear to God, I believed it happened. It was so real. And then I realized, wait, if I could make my teacher actually think it happened, then I can do well in writing. But anyway, that's not the time I first published. I got published first in 2019 when I got into university, CBU.
Now, the whole process from 8th grade to 2019, it's like a whole silent period. What was going on?
I was still writing. I was still writing. Some books got lost, and also I was less guided as to how I can get my book published. So that's why I kept writing but didn't publish until the exposure sort of like made me realize, wait, it's actually possible to get published, and that's how I got it.
All right, awesome. Now, your work definitely shows that you're all about advocating for women. You know, you're all about putting women at the center. You're all about ensuring that women's voices are heard and their rights are accepted. Do tell us, what's the background behind all that, and why is that even currently?
Yeah, I've always gravitated towards women because I grew up with a single mother. I grew up with my sisters, and even in my community, I always felt that women were not really heard. They were not given a chance to speak up, and so I somehow just got the fire. Like if a woman out there cannot speak, then I should speak. So first I started just by advocating for their rights. I would be like, I really need women to be heard. This is what women need, and I'm going to speak about it. And then I got into speaking for women who are victims of rape, because that's another aspect that I feel is really treated unfairly in our society. If a woman is raped, then it's her fault. She didn't dress properly.
What was she wearing?
Yeah. So I began talking about that as an activist. And then after that, I wrote my fourth actually, which was titled Woman Up. In that book, I was not just advocating for women's rights. I was talking to women, because now I believe that we can advocate all we want, but if we don't speak to the woman herself, all the work is just going to be, going down the drain. And then Facebook, now I decided to speak to the girl child, because now I believe that the foundation is when they're young. So why not speak to them, so that even as we sort of like minimize the damage control aspect. Yeah.
So we don't have to work on them once something happens. We're already orienting them
into
just in case this happens. Which brings me to two of your books that you wrote that are extremely inspirational. I use the word extremely because they are inspirational, and that is Unhinged and Unraped, and Convicted Then Murder. Now, I'm struggling to believe if these are actual stories that are based on real life events, or maybe you did us like an 8th grade. Tell us about that.
I did Eureka 8th grade.
Are you serious?
And you know that the funny thing is everyone who reads those books believes it's true. Yes. So I get calls like, "Hi, how is Didi?" And I'm like, "Sorry?" And then they're like, like, "You wrote about him in the book." And I'm like, "Guys, come on, that's fiction." But I love to make my fiction really realistic and also inspirational, because I believe people shouldn't just read books to be entertained. I'm a motivational speaker, and I'll tell you one thing: if a book is only going to entertain you, don't read it. Because you don't have as much time on earth as to just be reading things that are just going to make you laugh.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that my books, in as much as they are entertaining you, they should motivate you to become better in life, to find your purpose, and to just like speak on realistic issues in life that need to be addressed. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you are a motivational speaker. Are you the type I started my farming business with Nama business yankuku na kapepe kankuku.
You know, you sound like my boss.
Look at the farms that I built. What type of motivational
Every
speaker
time
are
he
you?
walks into my office, he says, "So you started your farm with one egg."
Yes, with one egg. And it was the egg for eating,
Yes.
not the egg for the chicken
And
being
then now,
born.
guys, I own a lot of chickens. No, I'm not that type of a motivational speaker. I am the type of a motivational speaker that will speak to your realistic situation. For instance, the story that I talk about mostly when I'm motivating women out there is my own story. I fell pregnant when I was in third year of university, and I didn't have where to start from. I had to sponsor myself. I had to do what I had to do it. And I tell women that I started my salawila business with a 250 kwacha. Yeah, if that's
I'm sorry, but this sounds like I started my chicken business with a feather.
you know, leave me alone, George. I did. So I tried to just be as realistic as possible. And even when I'm like trying to empower women out there, I try to do it within that type of realistic situation, because I realize people, when given too much to start with, they don't take it seriously. So as a motivational speaker, I'm going to tell you, start with what you have. Is it one feather? Use it, George.
I'm not going to start my chicken business with a feather, but I'm definitely not going to do that.
No, like one feather is too much, but
It's just
start
way
with
too
one
much.
chicken.
One chicken
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you speak about how that it's important to always be positive, even in situations that that look like you might not be able to break through. And I'm alluding to the example that you just gave of you can start up with one chicken. You started with the first book. Has there been any point in your life that you felt like, I've written, I've published, they've read, it's not working? Cheseko kungena chabe mu music or kapenda tingareka act.
In as much as I love acting, and maybe one day I should dive into it, I've never felt like abandoning my writing career, because I'm a realistic person. So when I don't make sales in that month or in a certain period of time, I just dive into finding the way to make sales. So yeah, it hasn't been like smooth, but also it has been very rewarding emotionally, financially.
Okay, so tukatoka hapa muti
George,
Imaleta.
vamos studio nkuvisia studio.
Imaleta. But then permit me to be extremely controversial here, and that is the craft, the field that you are in this country is not appreciated as much. You know, for you to be acknowledged that, oh, you're an author, you sometimes just say, and so on and so forth. How has the whole journey, the whole experience been working in this industry that is underappreciative of the work that you put out, more so that you're a fictitious writer? And you know, in Z we like the whole news stories on feministic and so on and so forth. How has the whole experience been, and how have you navigated your path all the way from 8th grade to now publishing your 5th book?
Right, so you're right about everything you've said, but I think I find branding to be a really good tool. I'm not an extrovert, so to say, but after I started writing, I realized I had to put myself out there. Because, of course, they will not care if I just have to tell them, oh, I'm a writer. We're like, oh, okay, and they go by. So I had to, like, be present on Facebook, my social media. I had to, like, be active and just show people who really I am. And also, like, I had to attach some social impact to my work. I think that really helps, because people are looking for solutions out there. So I identify problems through my writing and bring solutions through my writing. So firstly, branding. Secondly, bring some value. I decided to start bringing value to my society, not just being a writer itself. Yeah.
Now, you felt the need to translate your book, More Than Just a Girl, to Bemba as well as Kaonde. Why?
Yeah, so it's actually Bemba, Kaonde, Tonga, and Chichewa. I decided to do that because I want girls to hear my voice in their own language. You know what I mean? If somebody can tell it to you in your local language and actually move you, I'm trying to move them. I'm trying to tell them to say, look, you are more than just a girl. Say, George, the thing about being a girl is, being a girl itself is the reason why you shouldn't be great. I don't know if people realize that, but being groomed as a girl is really tough. You want to do something and they're going to tell you, don't do that. And when you ask them, why shouldn't I do that? They'll tell you, because you're a girl.
Yeah.
Girls don't do that. So I'm trying to talk to girls in their own local languages that they can understand, so that somehow if I can reach their heart and allow them to just dream big and step into that aspect which the world has not shown them, then I'm going to be the most happiest author in this world.
All right. Speaking about being the most happiest of authors, if people would like to reach you, especially on the side where they've been through things as young women, how could they be able to get access to you, to just, you know, have a sit down, or maybe they have to be on a waiting line for a year?
No, they don't have to be on a waiting line. Of course, I have like other busy schedules, but I try to make time for like young girls out there and women to reach me, and we have like discussions. And I also mentor women. So right now I have like 25 mentees. So if they would want to be a part of that, they would have to reach me through the number that I'm going to say right now, which is 0973-260726. Reach out to me or my Facebook page, Memory H Chanda, and we're going to get talking. We add you to the group of mentees, and we get talking from there. We get personal, actually. We get uncomfortable, because sometimes growth is very uncomfortable. Actually, always.
Yeah, it is. Well, we wish you all the best, Memory. And
Thank you.
as you are doing the rest of the stuff, but congratulations on putting out 5 brilliant books, and we hope that this one that you're also about to put out will be a storm as the others have been.
Oh, look at it. How can it not be a storm?
No, it definitely does look beautiful.
Yeah,
Definitely does look beautiful. So thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, awesome. Now we were